Hey guys, Tisha here, and we are back with another 1,000 Pound Sisters review. Let me start off by saying that I am kind of over this Michael and Amy storyline. Part of the reason is because at this point we know how it's played out, and also because I just feel like there's so many other things about this that we just don't know. And because everything seems like it's happening so quickly and we're not getting a timeline, I don't know how to feel. Like, she just left. They're already filing for divorce. They're already going to be going to court next week. Like, it's just so many things that are happening so quickly. And maybe they move things a lot faster out there, but it just seems like it's just on this rapid, like, boom, and we're off. All right, so we begin the episode seeing the siblings go out for lunch to celebrate Misty and Amanda being approved for surgery. We see a clip of a flashback where they saw Dr. Smith. He looked at their blood work, and based on the screening, everything came back negative, so they were able to have the surgery. They're going to have it on the same day. It's going to be back to back, and Chris is going to be taking them. So we see the family sitting around, laughing and joking. Chris has a lot to say about Misty and Amanda and how they should have done this for a long time. But I need Chris to be quiet because Chris still isn't where he needs to be. So he needs to stop being so judgmental about that and focus on his goals so that he can get his skin removal, because we just saw last week that he gained a pound in 6 months when he was supposed to lose 50 pounds in 6 months. We see everyone ordering different food, their version of what they feel like is healthy choices. And Misty decides that she's going to go for the gusto and order a 3-pound tomahawk steak. Amanda lets her know that's not a good choice. She starts laughing, and Misty says that the doctor said that we should be having protein. So I figured that that's a lot of protein. I doubt that protein includes 3 pounds of red meat, and I hope that she sticks to what she's supposed to stick to, because I just see certain things that make me feel like it may become a problem for her later on. They talk about the risk, and Amanda and both Misty are concerned about their kids because they're worried about if something may happen to them, who would take care of them. Amy starts crying. Amanda says, "You've been through a lot these past few weeks," and I've already talked to it with Misty about it, and we both said, like, Misty definitely needs to do the surgery, especially because her diabetes and stuff. But if I need to put mine off or postpone it, I will, just so I can make sure that I'm here for you, Amy. And I felt like that was a sweet gesture, but I need them to stop coddling Amy. Amy needs to learn how to stand on her 2 feet, because I've yet to see Amy do that since they started this series. Amy has always had someone. If it hasn't been Michael, it's been her family. And I feel like Amy needs to see that she can do this for herself. Not to say it's going to be easy, but it can be done. I just feel like if things are that bad, that Amanda's that worried about Amy, and if she's that depressed, that Amanda staying back isn't going to be enough, that Amy really needs additional help. And by that, I mean like coping mechanisms, parenting skills, actual counseling, things of that nature. It's so much more to it than what we're seeing. Amy tells Amanda she has to go. She needs her to go, because if she doesn't go, she's going to be feeling bad, and she knows that Amanda wants this. Chris says that his main concern is just Tammy and Amy being by themselves, because there's no telling what type of trouble that they're going to get into. We then hear about how tired and exhausted Amy is. Chris advises her to go ahead and go to a lawyer to start the next steps. Misty's food comes out. We see it's ridiculous. Amy agrees that she does need to take the next steps. The family does a cheers to the whole upcoming surgery. Eventually, everybody leaves. We see that Amy is pushing Tammy because I guess they both had to use the bathroom. She's running into stuff. Keep in mind, Amy is legally blind. So she's running into stuff, but she's pushing her, which is something that she couldn't do in the past because of how heavy Tammy is. So Amy apparently is driving into the street and it's cobblestone, and there's some part of the cobblestone that is broken up, and she gets stuck, and I guess Tammy kind of almost flips out of the seat, and you hear Tammy yelling, and we see a quick glimpse of the old Tammy because she's fussing and she's telling her she should have avoided it. But I'm looking at Tammy like, okay, you know that your sister has problems with sight. You should have gotten out of that chair and just walked, because we saw you once you got stuck get up and walk. So maybe the whole situation could have been avoided if Tammy would have done that in the first place. She says she got mad because Amy wasn't listening, she wasn't being safe, and she almost flipped out the chair, and that she can't afford to have anything like that happen because she would definitely get hurt. Like I said before, she could have walked. She then tells Amy, as she's sitting there fussing at her, now you're about to start crying as usual. I agree that Amy cries too much, but I didn't like this scene with Tammy yelling at her like that and coming down on her like that, because in that instance, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't intentional. She didn't intentionally push her in the crack. Amy apologizes, tells her that she'll try to do better. Tammy says, like, you need to do like what you do with me with Glenn and Gage, where you keep one eye on me while you have one ear listening out for the other child. Like, you need to do that with me. Treat me kind of like them and do better. Amy apologizes, tells her she'll try to do better. Tammy says, just be careful. They're a team. They can get this done. That's the end of that. We then have Amanda and Misty. Now, the show kept it going back and forth, but I'm just going to go over all the Amanda and Misty stuff and then go from there. So Amanda and Misty arrive for surgery. They're nervous but ready. Misty has surgery first. Chris says that he worries, but because Misty is the oldest and she doesn't heal like she used to. Her diabetes are of concern. We see them reel her back. Amanda is nervous. She seems to be more nervous about Misty than she is for herself in the beginning. Chris tells her to calm down. She's blowing things out of proportion. Amanda says that's not right for Chris to dismiss her feelings. He says that he's not dismissing her feelings. They all have concerns and she just needs to calm down. 2 hours later, Dr. Smith comes out, says everything went well. Amanda then goes back. She's extremely nervous. She's crying as she's getting Will back, telling them to tell her kids this and tell her that. It's been 7 years since her last bariatric surgery. So Dr. Smith is ready, and he's understanding that he may encounter some unknown things because of her previous surgery. So we see him in there. We hear them talk about the different possible complications. We then see him come out 3 hours later to tell Chris that everything went well, and it just took a little bit longer because she had a lot of scar tissue. We then see it's the next day. Despite feeling like they've been punched in their stomach a whole bunch, the girls say that they feel good, they look good, they're cracking jokes, talking about the gas that Amanda passed the previous night. And that's that. Dr. Smith says, no, not Dr. Smith. Amanda says that Dr. Smith is easy on the eyes. He's a great physician and a nice man, and that he's great at what he does, but his personality makes him even better. They're laughing and joking. They're told that they're going to be able to go, but they have to come back in a week so that he can see how they're doing. We then get to Tammy and Amy. Tammy's house looks a mess. Amy says how a lot of times Tammy is helping her with the kids. She wakes up, makes a bottle for one, then the other one gets up and then she feeds him. We see her walking out with Gage topless and her kind of chasing him to put on his shirt. Part of what I think the problem is that Amy has no structure or routine for her kids. You don't see her saying like, hey, it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, time for dinner. Hey, it's 7:30, playtime for a little bit. Hey, it's 8, let's go ahead and take that bath. 9 o'clock, I'm gonna, read to you, unwind, then it's lights out. You don't hear of any routine. Kind of just seems like she flies by the seat of her pants. Also, one of you all made a good point. You said that in your place where you reside, they have kindergarten, which sounds similar to what we have in the United States, which is daycare. And that is true. If she were to put him into some type of program where he can kind of run out that energy, have a routine, it probably would be beneficial to both her and both to the child, because he needs structure and he needs to get that energy out. He seems to be very active, and Amy doesn't really seem to take him out that much. I guess I was kind of like more of a militant parent, because it's just, I was real like boom, 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 boom. And it ended up helping me in the long run, because even if my child wasn't asleep, when he was put in that crib, he knew it was time to chill out. Even when he was in his toddler bed, he wasn't coming out and doing a whole bunch of stuff. He learned how to self-soothe. And sometimes that's just what you got to do. I know each child is different, but it doesn't even seem like she's tried to put anything in place. They talk about the surgery with Amanda and Misty, and how they're going to be so whiny and complaining after it's done. We know that that's not the case, because we've seen that they've had the surgery and they're cracking jokes and holding their stomachs and stuff like that. They say that they're glad that all of their family at this point is striving to get healthy, but they do worry about complications. So as a distraction, even though Tammy doesn't eat it, she suggests that they go have sushi to have quality time as sisters with the babies. She also wants to get her mind off Caleb. She says she misses his laugh and his curls, and she kind of worries about what he's doing because she feels like he's not doing the work. We then later see them arrive at the sushi restaurant, where their niece and their nephew drop them off. They try something different and decide to order quail eggs. We then see Gage standing up in the high chair that they have in the place of establishment before the order is even completed. And I'm wondering if they don't have some form of seatbelt in that booster, because why is he not strapped in it? Especially because we know that he is a busybody. They order some food that comes to the table. It's on fire. She didn't even know what she ordered. They're told to let it continue cooking for like 2 minutes and it will go out. Amy is holding Gage and he's trying to get out of her hands. And then because he's trying to get out of her hands, he's throwing himself back like that. She takes him for a walk. Gage is not the type of child that me personally, I wouldn't take him to a restaurant. Don't embarrass me. Based on the way that he behaves at home, I know that that's not a child that I would want to go to the restaurant with. Amy is begging him, Gage, please stop, while he's flinging his head and himself back. He hits her in the mouth with his head. You see her grab her tooth, and she's begging him, crying, come on, Gage, please, Gage, please, Gage, please. Then she pops up and says, I'm going home. The child runs Amy and she has no control. She says, let's go. I can't do this. We see her walk outside with him. So he gets exactly what he wants. Her niece and nephew came back because I guess at some point either they called him back or maybe they knew that Gage was going to act up, so they might as well not go too far. But they come back. She hands over her child to them. And she says, it's about to turn into a hell of a tantrum. So here you go. So you're giving them, while he's flinging himself back and all stuff, you're giving your child to them. Got it. So someone else is going to have to deal with this. She walks back in, says she doesn't know how she's going to do this by herself. Tammy says you don't have to do this by herself. She comes back. My son is missing his daddy. That is not why Gage is acting like that. Gage is acting like that because that's what Gage always does. We've seen him do this with his daddy around, so it's not because he's missing him. Womp, 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 womp. Try again. Like, let's make it make sense. He's missing his dad, but he did the same thing when his dad was right there. He was running all around the photo place while his dad was right there. He was flinging himself all over the place when you were still with his dad and you went to dinner. This is just what he does. He does this. Tammy makes her laugh by playing with her food. They swallow quail eggs. It looks like Amy's about to gag. Amy says that the quail egg is the worst thing that she's ever had in her mouth, and it says a lot. because she's had a lot of bad things in her mouth. Tammy says Amy is missing Michael as well as what's going on with the boys, and she just really hopes that she doesn't go back, but if she does, she'll still support her. We then see that Tammy booked a range room where they're going to be breaking stuff. Tammy feels like her punching something will help her feel better. She says, you haven't been eating much, you aren't sleeping well, and she wants her to start taking care of herself and eating. Amy cries, says she feels bad about bringing her crap to Tammy, but you already knew it was crap when you brought it, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. So this is just the beginning of all of this. It's the next day. The ladies are at the rage room. We see them throwing glass. We see Amy with the bat hitting things, including Tammy, because she hits her at one point. You hear her yelling, F you, Michael, hitting more stuff, throwing more stuff. Then she has like what may I call it? It's not I don't know what it is. It's a little bar with a little thingy that goes like this. She has that, and she's hitting it on the ground, and she starts to cry. And Tammy says this was the point of the exercise, to get her to release and to cry. Amy says for a long time, she didn't think that she would have a family of her own. She fought tooth and nail to have it and her babies, and now everything is falling apart, and she just doesn't know where it went wrong. Tammy said that she doesn't feel like she's enough and what she's doing is enough, because she can see that Amy is still hurting and she hates to see her hurt. Tammy feels like she's supposed to be able to put a Band-Aid over Amy's pain. And that's part of the problem, because this family doesn't work through things. They laugh through it and then they try to hurry up and put a Band-Aid over it. When sometimes you have to really go through it. You have to talk about it. You have to experience the feelings that come along with it. Even though it hurts, it's just something that you have to do. And there is a lot of work that has to be done. And it needs to be done individually and collectively. But Amy has a lot of work to do by herself. Tammy feels like since she's been gone, everything has gotten worse and she feels useless. I want Tammy to know it's not her job to focus on the family. I think that Tammy feels like a lot of obligation to them because of the years that they took care of her, because she wasn't doing well. Your health is one thing. This is something that Amy is going to have to figure out on her own. But as I said before, Amy's never had to do anything on her own. She tells Amy that they'll be okay, that she's doing the right thing. Amy says that she thinks that overall this exercise thing was helpful, and now she's ready to take the next steps, which is going to go to the attorney. And then we see her breaking up stuff. So it's another day. We see Amy at the law office because she wants to file for divorce. 35 minutes later, she walks out and she is pissed. I mean pissed. That's the fastest I've seen Amy walk without having to chase behind Gage. So things did not go the way that she wanted. She comes out, the producers ask her, what happened? She says, I don't want to effing talk about it. She's mad. We later find out Amy is mad because Michael filed for the divorce before she did. But in my opinion, that may be beneficial to her, because maybe she won't have to give as much in spousal support since he's the one that filed for it. I don't know. She then later on in confessional is looking back and saying that she really can't be mad because she did ask for a divorce. But what bothers her is that he didn't even fight for her. I don't think Amy was truly ready to go. I think Amy was saying all of the things that her family wanted to hear, but I don't think that Amy was really, really prepared to make that step. Even in going to the attorney's office, I think she was kind of trying to find out some information, maybe not necessarily file for divorce, but we wouldn't know that because no one was in there on that process and she wasn't mic'd at the time. She said he's basically tossing them like they're a piece of trash. She says, how the F am I going to do this, as she's walking off camera and she's getting upset. This whole thing with Michael is going to continue on some more. I'll be honest. I just feel like it's a woe is me party for Amy. I do feel bad because this is now going to be a broken home. I also feel like, given everything that we saw with him holding her cards and things of that nature, there has been some abusive behavior there, and that Amy really does need to get some help. If you have not done so already, please like the video. Please leave comments in the comment section. I do answer them and I do like seeing them. And it also helps, you know, when you like, when you comment, when you share, you help me get in the algorithm. And I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's my first goal because I'm ready. My time is now. I didn't say so earlier, but Happy New Year's to those of you who only watch my 1,000 Pound Sisters content. Feel free to scroll down the timeline and look at some other things as well. And until next time.